So I wanted to turn it over, Robbie, to you for this great panel.
Great. Wow, there's Robbie in a tie. I haven't seen that since March. That's amazing. So, okay. This morning, I'm very, very excited, and so are you, because we have 270 people that are on this call at this point, and the number keeps going up. So we'll see how many we actually end up with. But this morning, I'm very excited to introduce, if some of you don't know these four, there truly are four of the best agents in the entire network. Nikki Field is representing New York City. And one of the things I want everyone to learn from Nikki Field is she has been like the poster child for Sotheby's. From all the different conferences that I've gone to, she's been a speaker. She is the most giving and caring individual that I know. She is always helping people, reaching out to people, and there's probably not a person in this network that hasn't known her. She just said that this year, did you say 92% of your sales this year have been from referrals? That's exactly why, is because everybody in this market, when they think of New York, they think of Nikki Fields, and she has continued to do such a great job. We referred to Nikki and to Paul Brunick's group, the Canyon Ranch townhouses, because the owner of Canyon Ranch wanted both exposure in New York and in the local Massachusetts market. And they have gratefully, Nikki, you've done a wonderful job. That team did a wonderful job selling, I think, all but 2 of the units, and the last 2 are there. One
left.
Very good. One more went under contract. That's awesome. So congratulations. And then almost all of you know Thomas Wright, who is from Park City, Utah. He is one of the most gifted speakers that our network has, and he actually is part owner and manager of that Summit Sotheby's, and just a really good friend to our office, has been to our office many times to speak and train, and we're very, very grateful to Thomas. One of the things that you may or may not know is he ran for governor this year. So he was about to be, I didn't know how he was going to do both jobs, but I'm grateful he's still with us, and we're very, very proud of Thomas Wright. Greg Lynn is also another superstar. He's San Francisco, and he's like Nikki in that there's very few people that haven't met him. He is so friendly and outgoing and such a pro, and does such an amazing job. One of the biggest producers in the entire country, not just for Sotheby's, but for all realtors everywhere. And we're very privileged to have Greg this morning join us. And so thank you. And lastly, but not least, is Jerry Metcalf. And Jerry is particularly famous among all the Sotheby's groups because she went to a dark side, but came back. And so we're very, very grateful that Jerry is still part of this great network, and she recognizes the value that all of you bring. And she represents Atlanta really, really well. So thank you all 4 of you for coming onto this panel today. I know everybody's very interested to hear from you. We're now at 275, so it keeps growing. Year after year, each of you are among the most successful real estate professionals in the business. To what do you give as your success? What is the number one thing that you have done over the years to make you successful? Can I start with Nikki?
Well, hello, Briggs Freeman from New York City, and thank you for that very generous, over-the-top introduction, Robbie Briggs. Always a gentleman. Russ, thank you also for permitting me to be part of this today. I'm thrilled to be sharing this time with Greg, Tom, and Jerry, the big producers. So the secret isn't a secret. Literally everyone that's doing this business understands relationships. That one word, relationships. It is the single most important element and skill set to be able to be a productive salesperson, but most importantly, being a long-term salesperson. I don't care if you've just started or you've been in this business 20 plus years like me, you're only as good as the solid relationships you've made.
Very good. Who'd like to go next? Jerry?
Sure. Thank you too. It's an honor to be included on this panel, and it's wonderful to be here at Sotheby's. It's been a while now, but it's good to be here. To answer your question, so I think the question is, to what do we attribute our success? And I would answer that by saying three things. The number one is just remembering to always listen, whether with clients, whether when winning business, and whatever you're doing, make sure you pause and listen to what's going on and in every situation. The other thing is really focusing in your business. Find what you're good at, and don't be afraid to focus on that as opposed to trying to do everything all the time. And last but not least is being around the right people. I mean, Sotheby's is really the biggest and easiest example of that. I'm here, I was here, I left, and I came back quickly because the resounding voice in my head was, look at who you're spending your time with, look at who you're around, and I'll show you your future. And every time it was, Sotheby's is the people, the competence, integrity, everything that I need for me and for my clients and my team and my family.
Very good. Greg?
Robbie, thank you so much for having me. Great to be with all of you, and thank you for that generous introduction. I'm happy to share some ideas. I agree with Nikki completely that referrals are everything. During COVID, we saw 30 inbound referrals, mostly from clients in Texas wanting to get out of California. So we were happy to take those. But referrals are everything in our business. But most importantly, we have to remember that our brand is bigger than all of us. And the brand opens doors, but open doors, you have to knock. Sometimes you have to turn the handle. Sometimes you have to push the door hard. But our brand provides more opportunity than any other company can provide. And I think that's one of the biggest attributes of my team's success.
Very good. And then Thomas?
Robbie, I love you. I love Briggs Freeman. You know, my daughter goes to school in Dallas, so I love coming to Dallas. And that's Southern hospitality, the food. I mean, forget about it. You guys got it all down there, but you don't have snow.
We don't have snow.
And I'm ready to go skiing. That's why I'm dressed like this. We have a powder day out there that's calling my name. So that's good. You get what you get when you get the bald guy on your meeting. Okay, here's the deal. There's soft skills and there's hard skills in this business. Soft skills are great, and we've talked a lot about those, but I want to focus my comments on the hard skills. We are salespeople, we are relationship managers, and we have to improve our hard skills all the time to be really good at that. Selling is not something that comes naturally to most people. Charisma does, personality does, and some of us have great charisma and better personalities than others, but at the end of the day, you have to know how to sell. You have to know how to overcome objections. You have to know how to create relationships. You have to know how to use a CRM system. It isn't enough just to focus on things in a soft way. Sure, we have to be kind, we have to be generous, we have to focus on people, but at the end of the day, we've got to improve our hard skills. And what I've seen in the companies that Scott and I own, whether it's in Palm Springs or Vegas or Colorado or Utah or Nevada, the agents that have the hard skills are the ones that are rising right now. It's not enough just to know a whole bunch of people and to be in the business 25 years. You've got to know how to sell, how to organize your data, how to contact more people, how to contact them in a more meaningful way, how to distribute and disseminate information, how to position yourself in a valuable way to those people. So I'm a big believer in the hard skills, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in our organization this year, is just continuing to improve those hard skills. Let's be better at overcoming objections. Let's learn sales skills. Like my favorite sales skill is trial closing questions. If you don't know what that is, Google it. It's the most effective sales skill you could ever use. But we've got to study and we've got to know sales. And so I'm excited about that. And that's what I think the focus should be for us to be successful in 21.
Well, Thomas, to that point, that's kind of what I was saying about Ninja. Even people that are very experienced, that have been around a long time, can learn some of the hard skills, don't you think? And
Oh,
through
yeah.
the Ninja product.
Robbie, Ninja is everything. You've got to go through Ninja. If you have not been through, it's better for agents that are experienced and that have been in the business a long time than it is for people that have not been in the business. It's an inverse relationship. So I know there's agents out there in your meeting. They're like, hey, I've been doing this a long time. I don't need more training. I got it all figured out. I'm busier than I have ever been. I don't need more business. But you can be more organized and you can be more effective and you can feel better and you can have better work-life balance and you can create value better and your clients will have higher satisfaction and you'll live a more meaningful, purposeful life. That's what Ninja is all about. That's why Scott and I have endorsed it so heavily in all the companies we own, because we believe in it and we've seen it work time and time again. The second installation is the best one. And people that go a third time come back and rave about it as well. So yes, Robbie, it's the hard skills. This used to be a business of like brute force. Like, in other words, I have a great personality, I have charisma, and I know people. Therefore, I'm an agent and I'm going to go out and just kind of impose that will on my clients. It is not like that anymore. You have to have a great personality and you have to have charisma and you have to have those soft skills, but you also have to have hard skills. You have to understand how technology works. You have to know how to use a CRM system. You have to have a marketing plan. You have to know how to promote yourself. And so those are the agents that go to Ninja that are hungry to come out on top. And I just have to close my little segment here, Robbie. I have a legendary agent in my market in Park City, Bill Ligety. His son, Ted Ligety, is the most decorated alpine skier in U.S. Olympic history. He's a gentleman. He's a wonderful guy. He's at the end of his career. And he said something to me I'll never forget. He came into my office and he said, Thomas, I want to go out on top. That's somebody who's living his career at the end like it's day one. It's the first day he's ever done it. And those are the people that I admire. I aspire to be that person, not the person that says, you know what, I'm doing great. I'm just going to do it the same old way. Let's be better than we've ever been. Let's go out and learn something new. Let's get stoked about life. We're here. We're only going to be here once, right? It's an incredible time to be alive. Anyway, I could keep going, but I won't.
Thank you, Thomas. That was great. All right, now, all you great agents, think back of when you first got started. What were some of the very first things that you did to get your business going, or that you recommend to a young agent how to get their business going? Any one of you can answer.
I'll start. It was absolutely the platform for my taking off. Real estate sales was a second act career for me, like so many other people in this industry. My background was in marketing, spent 20 years in that, took a few years off to raise my children, thought I'd put my toe into real estate, knowing that it was probably a part-time job. We all know how wrong that fantasy was. But when I entered the New York market, although I knew a lot of people and had lived here all of my life, no one knew me as a real estate broker. And we had some really great, strong professionals that were already leading the industry in the city. So I decided to be a specialist. And if you've ever heard me speak before, you've heard about my commitment, my love for specialty. That's the reason I have a team. Everybody on my team is a specialist. I started as a medical office specialist. Why? Because in my office, somebody offered a $150,000 medical office and nobody wanted it. So I raised my hand and I'll take it. I said, I take it. I didn't know anything about medical office specialties. In fact, the only medical office I'd ever been into was my gynecologist's office. So I had no idea how to sell them. And I felt rather bad when I took on this project because the doctor that was selling his office, this was a big part of his financial portfolio. And I felt rather embarrassed that I may not get the job done for him. But then I decided I would be committed and I was going to truly help this guy after his whole career of giving back to people, send him off with some money. Well, I sold this $150,000 medical office for $172,000. I then marched into my manager and said, I'm now your medical office specialist. He didn't really think that was very credible since I'd only sold one, but he gave me a chance. And back in the day, Robbie, you remember the tombstone ads in the New York Times. That's how we all sold. So I had a big headline for 2 months, which he paid for, medical office specialist, Nikki Field. And then I did some open listings. Well, in 6 weeks' time, I was a medical office specialist. I had sold another 3. That specialty led me to Fifth Avenue, Park Avenue buildings, who also had medical offices, but for a whole lot more money. Selling those pushed me upstairs in the Fifth Avenue and Park Avenue buildings to the really good product. And I started selling there, no longer a medical office specialist, but a co-op specialist. I reinvented myself 6 times in 20 years, every time following the money. I believe that it's very difficult to be a full service market expert on everything in your market. So I believe in specialization, having a partner or an alliance with someone who can do what you're not specializing in. Together, all of you, how many there are of you, you can become exactly what literally everybody in the universe needs, a particular specialist drilling deep in their area.
I know one specialty that you also took on, and that was China. You created you were one of the first in the country to have a Chinese team.
2008.
You always met.
Where we met.
Yep. You always went to the Hong Kong event, the auction house event, and you garnered a lot of Chinese clients. Are you still pushing that today?
Let me explain to some of your new brokers how that happened. In 2008, we had our crash. I mean, I looked around. At that time, I think I had 12 on my team, a lot of mouths to feed, and we had no local business at all. My manager, almost as motivational as Thomas, turned to me and said, follow the money. So we started looking internationally. We knew from wealth advisors there was money that was being deployed into the US from other places. I think on my very first trip, I met Robbie and Ben Briggs and realized, and what didn't take a lot of mental skill sets to understand that the cash coming out of mainland China was going to be significant and for a long time. So that was following the money to China. From there, we opened up our India office, then we opened up our Middle East office, and most recently we have our Moscow office. So I'm just constantly looking for where that money's coming from and getting out ahead of your competition.
Great, good. Anybody else have a recollection of how you got started and what you recommend?
Yeah, I'm happy to add, if I could. Like Nikki, I started as a second career in real estate, and I had a really impressive sphere of contacts that I would hope would someday do business with me. So the first thing that I did in getting into the business was to actually look busy. I wanted to communicate to my sphere that I had taken on real estate and that I planned to be successful in it. So how do you become successful? You identify successful people in your market and you imitate them. You find a niche and you become that specialist, and then you just broadcast and communicate what you're doing. It doesn't have to be your success. Remember, we have the brand. There's all sorts of messaging that you can communicate, from the brand that helps get into your sphere. So if I were starting the business today, I would do the exact same thing that I did 15 years ago when I started, but it's actually cheaper today because social media doesn't cost as much as direct mail, and I did it all in direct mail. Social media is a great way to look busy. And that's the one thing. If you don't have a communication strategy, on social media, if you're new, you're not going to be successful. So that's my advice.
I want to jump in there and do a shout out to one of our agents, one of our new agents that's new to the business and actually even new to the area. So you've got, he's got brand new business, brand new to the area. And what did he do this morning? I saw on social media him giving he was driving, this is Daryl Six out of our Southlake office. He was driving the neighborhood and comparing 3 listings. He's basically saying, what do you buy $1 million for, $1.2 million, $1.4 million in Southlake? And he had a video camera with him. He took him through the houses. He had a great talk. And by the end of this, if you saw that for the first time, you would have thought that he owned the market in Southlake. I was very proud of him. He was doing exactly what you guys were saying. He's not sitting back. He's only been in the business a few weeks and he's not sitting back. He already looks like a professional. It was amazing. I'm so
Robbie, that is so great. But I can tell you, he probably learned that strategy by looking at other successful Sotheby's agents in other markets who are all on Instagram. And so that is incredible. And although he doesn't have that market share yet, I can promise you what he did this morning is going to result in new business for him.
Absolutely, no question. Jerry, do you have anything you remember?
Yeah, so a few things. I remember when I got in the business, I kind of landed into selling land of all things because I rode horses and nobody else would sell. I couldn't do any other deals because nobody else thought I was good enough. But after that, so it's specializing without knowing it. And number one is go into every deal to learn. In the beginning, I think there are a few things you do is people say, well, how am I going to get the job? First of all, put the deals together. Like the agent on your team this morning is going out, learning deals, talking about deals. And really, I mean, my short answer to all of that is, again, it was the same as specializing. When I really hit it off and became successful was after the recession, when I couldn't just kind of go make calls and, as Thomas said, by brute force, make deals happen. We were basically, for all practical purposes, no income coming into our home except me and whatever homes I sold. And I went in and said, okay, what am I going to have to do? I've got to be close to home. I've got to get a high price point. I've got to spend as little time as possible and make as much money possible. And I've got to make sure when people think of me, they're going to hire me. So it was to specialize. I literally went and picked historic Brookhaven, which is probably the second highest sales price. Buckhead is the center of Buckhead is number one. And then North Buckhead is historic Brookhaven, the most expensive neighborhood there. I pinpointed it every week. I did an update on YouTube, talking about the market. What are the sales? What's going under contract? Every phone call I made was about historic Brookhaven, what it was doing. And within less than 30 days, I knew everything about the market. And within 2 months, I was picking up listings. People were agents, it's the agents who had been in Atlanta forever, gone to the right schools or in the right families that were doing the business. And suddenly I was getting their listings just by learning the market and going out and finding value and honing in and not being afraid to focus. Another thing I would say is a lot of agents will say, well, I can't specialize. I don't have enough business. I'm going to lose business. It was the best thing I ever did because you forget how much business is out there and how much business, there's so much business to be done. To win the business, you've got to be valuable. You've got to have, as Thomas says, the hard skills to deliver on what people need. And then when you're that agent that's not afraid to claim and own that specialty and own that market, it is amazing. More business comes to you. It was within 6 months, I had more business than I can handle because it just is coming to you in droves. If you're not afraid to go, what's my market? Who are the people in my sphere? Who are the people that are those clients? Bridging the gap between those two things, and then not being afraid to make that plan, own it, claim it, execute on it, and it will happen.
Very good. Now, 2020 was probably the strangest year any of us have had. Have any of you particularly learned something that will carry you on through the rest of your career?
Well, I guess I'll start. I don't mind. I want to go back just real quick to that last one, though. Can I just offer 3 things for people to do that are starting out? Number 1, you got to wake up with a chip on your shoulder, right? You got to wake up every day and say, I'm going to go and get what's mine. I'm going to impose my will on the world. Don't be a victim. You are a player. You got to go out and you got to make it happen. The realtor driving the neighborhood is a perfect example. Go to Ninja. Stop this mindset that time equals success. It's not time, it's attitude. You don't have to bow down to anyone in this business. With this brand and Robbie, your company, agents can get any listing they want regardless of their experience. You just got to believe it and you got to go out and you got to make it happen. That's number 1. Number 2 is be vulnerable. Be vulnerable, be teachable. I think John Wooden said, we're only failures when we start blaming others for our mistakes. So go out, make mistakes. Don't make too big of mistakes, but make mistakes and be teachable. And say, you know what, I want to learn. Ask top agents. I love what Greg Lynn and Nikki and Jerry are saying. You gotta go and you gotta ask people, tell me how I can be better. Teach me, I want to learn. And have that chip on your shoulder that you're going to impose your will, but then be vulnerable on the other side. And then the last one is organize your database. There's so many realtors that have been meaning to organize their database for decades or years, and they never do it, right? This is not a database. Your iPhone is not a database of your contacts. It isn't. You've got to have a CRM system. You got to have that hard skill. Okay, 2020, this is what we learned. We learned in 2020 that the ninja principle we learn about abundance is real. There are always two ways to look at every situation, with abundance or with scarcity. And when you go to the ninja installation with Melanie, you're going to learn about it. But those companies and those people that said, you know what, this is a terrible time. I don't love it, but I'm going to make the most of it. I'm going to get through this. I'm going to follow the CDC guidelines. I'm going to innovate. I'm going to make lemonade out of lemons. They did. And the people that sat back and viewed it as a year to stay home and take a year off, took a year off. So it all depends on your approach and your mindset. And look, I know a lot of people got COVID that didn't deserve it, and mindset doesn't overcome an infection. And I know we've lost a lot of life, and it's a great human tragedy. But at the end of the day, our attitude determines so much about what we do in our life. And the great part about Ninja is it reprograms our subconscious. Our subconscious has a track playing all the time in our head, right? Some of us have that voice all the time. All of us do. And you get to reprogram that with Ninja through gratitude, through the Ninja 9. You got to go learn what that is. But you've got to reprogram that subconscious, because that track that plays in your head is determining the way you're seeing the world and how people are seeing you. And so many of us need to have that reprogrammed every day, which is why the Ninja 9 is a daily activity. But anyway, that's what I've learned in 2020 is be resilient, be tough, but be optimistic and help people. People need a strong leader to help them through tough times. And that's what we are on this call. And we owe it to the world to step up and be positive and help make a difference.
To your point, Thomas, thank you very much. To your point about the time and how a newer player can do some amazing things. I'm going this week with one of our younger agents. He wrote letters. He's got response from 2 people on probably each one of them are on one of the most prestigious streets in Dallas. And I'm going, one will maybe be I think $11 million listing, and the other one probably an $8 million listing. And your mindset is going to say, oh, well, somebody in that house, they know some realtor. Well, who cares? This guy got their attention by the letter he wrote them. And we're going Wednesday afternoon together to potentially list a property for him. And I'm just so proud. And again, it does not take the people that have been in the business forever. I see people that have been in the business forever come to a listing presentation with nothing prepared. And I'm like, you're not getting this, even though you might get this listing because they know who you are, et cetera, you might not. And anyway, I just thank you.
Oh, Robbie, you're right. It's mindset. That agent will get those listings because he can go in and say, hey, I know as much about the brand, I have the exposure, but I'm not bogged down with all the time and all the burdens of top producing agents. There's so many ways that he can spin that into a positive for himself. Right. I have no doubt that he'll win. And that's what I'm talking about. We've got to have that attitude. If I could go back and tell the younger version of myself, I haven't aged at all, Robbie, but if I could go back and talk to that guy with a full head of hair, this is what I would tell him. I would say, you don't have to wait. It isn't earned. You don't have to earn your stripes. You just got to go get it. And I've had that mentality, but I could have had it a little bit more. I thought those luxury listings were for those agents that always got them and that I needed to work my way up the ladder. That's BS. Just go beat them right now. You don't need to wait 10 years to beat them. They're easy to beat because they're not doing a great job, most of them. And we have a better brand. So anyway, that's it. I can keep going, but I won't.
About all of you, but whenever I hear Thomas speak, I always want to go out and conquer a small European nation.
Yeah.
Let's go, man. I'd love to go to Europe. I'm in.
Else learned something from 2020?
Robbie, I'll offer. That was great and strategic, and I do agree with everything. But the one thing that I think has really changed, in my opinion, is how we influence our clients. And, our job as brokers is to achieve for our clients, and influencing them is a big part of what we do. And we had various tools, in our bag about how we did that. But this year, because we couldn't see them face to face, something that had been around for a while became very big, and that's video. video communications with clients, like what we're doing right now. So we never could do that before. We were either face-to-face in their living room or on the phone. But now we have this new tool that allows us to have both. And so not just pitching, but negotiating and tough conversations with clients that used to be had over the phone. Or if something bad happened during a negotiation and you wanted to be face-to-face, you had to drive across town to see them, after dinner. No more. COVID has changed the way that we're communicating with our clients and we're influencing them by video. This has allowed us to become much more influential, and that's not going to go away when this is over. So again, there's opportunity into everything. This has been a tumultuous time, but one of the big things that my team has taken away is get in front of your clients on the web frequently.
Good point. Jerry or Nikki, do you have something you want to add?
I guess I learned something this year. Thomas gave us the macro version of great wealth for anyone that hasn't pivoted yet, how to rethink what they're capable of doing. Thank you for that, Thomas. I don't need to take Ninja. I had 10 minutes of you. So I'm going to do a little bit more micro. Actually, referring back to your first question to me when I talked about relationships, I've always told my team, the single most important relationship in your business is not your clients. It's not your customers. It is other brokers, your peers in this industry. Those are the ones that are going to teach you, lead you, and offer you opportunities to do business. What I learned this year is the true power and the glory of Sotheby's international realty referrals. When our business in New York was shut down, closed out the second week of March, not essential. The real estate industry is not essential practitioners here, so we were forbidden to do any business. No showings, no presentations, just the power of what Greg gave us, the video and our conversations. Well, as with other times, I looked for where the money was and tried to follow it. And it was absolutely, definitely, positively in the power of referrals. New Yorkers were leaving en masse, and global, domestic, international buyers were all coming in for the opportunity market. We had this cross current of really interesting business. So my team's job was to find out where the deep deals were and offer bulk discounts to buyers that wanted to invest like it was 2009, but also handhold people like Greg's client. These are people that were not thinking about moving. These referrals were people that are actually moving. They got up in the morning, they talked to their partner, they said, okay, we're out of here. So we had to act instantaneously in introducing them to the absolute best qualified professional on wherever they were going. And thank God it was such an easy handoff because we have so many best qualified professionals in our industry. And as I mentioned earlier, 92.1% of our team's 2020 business was done through referrals in this network. I mean, never has the power of these relationships been clearer to me, and definitely in response, what I've learned is the gratitude of what my peers have been able to do to keep myself and my team afloat. I thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. Great. Okay. When things do get slower for you, what gets you up in the morning and gets you motivated to keep after it?
Well, I guess I'll go if there's a moment of silence. I don't know about you guys, but I love to win. I am a hyper competitive person. To me, this is about like customer satisfaction and having them say, wow, that was an amazing experience. And just getting out of bed going, man, if I'm not working, somebody else is. And I can't live with that. I cannot live with somebody else beating me. I've had my fair share of losses for sure, but you know what? I don't view them like that. I just view them as stepping stones. The more you compete, the more you're going to win and the more you're going to lose. But you got to wake up every day and say to yourself, you know what? If I don't get out there and make this happen, somebody else is. And if you're comfortable with that, then man, you're probably in the wrong business and you're probably at the wrong company. So wake up every day and say to yourself, you know what? I got to get out there. There's people that need me. and it's game on. I'm going to go make it happen, and I'm not going to let somebody beat me to it. Right? I think it's just a mindset.
Great.
Can't kid anybody anymore. There's no more fun career than real estate sales. Literally, it is such a high getting up thinking about the deal you're going to make that day. It's such a high reflecting at the end of the day the deal you did make, or the deal you almost made, or how you crashed and burned, but you're going to be so much better tomorrow. This is just such an extraordinarily fun, proactive, and exciting career. That's why all of us are in it. I mean, so many talented people are in real estate these days. That's a client calling for the third time. Sorry. So many talented people are in this business these days. They understand. They've come from finance. They've come from law. They've come from medicine. They've come from extraordinarily interesting and successful careers, but they recognize there's a higher form of life. And I don't want to get too dramatic, but there is a higher form of return in doing the job that we do. We are right now providing the most important need that clients living in the time of COVID need: a home, a safe haven, a sanctuary. And you're responsible for it. And we get to get it done.
So what will you be telling your clients about 2021, and what will you be doing to get your business started in 2021?
I'll go. It's been a while since I've talked. I'm going to answer that last question first about what do you do when times get slow? The biggest thing is just knowing that you're instilling the habits all the time, every day, which Ninja comes into that really well. And the other thing is the time that you've got when times are, if you're thinking through the lens of, remember Thomas was talking about, and we're all talking about abundance versus scarcity. If you're in the mindset of abundance, whether it's a problem or whether times are slow, it's going to be an opportunity to make things better and to plan out for next year. And to that, what are we doing for 2021? In my world, it's a matter of making sure we get it all done. But it's in Atlanta, we can host events, and we do. We're obviously careful and wear masks and or social distancing. But we were blessed enough to be my team, or I had the listing that was the holiday home of the year this year. And having the mentality and taking the steps and doing the action items, it's not just thinking about being successful, not just hoping you're successful, but not being afraid to own what you're going to do and do it. That ended up now we have the holiday home this year. We're looking at another holiday home or another showcase home for next year as one of our listings. But to that is using those events to engage your clients, look to next year. And then as far as what are we telling them next year, a lot of that depends on the questions, but the answers to me are, and you guys may have better insight into that, is that the market is strong, interest rates are low. In Atlanta, our inventory is the lowest it's ever been. The average list to sale price in Atlanta overall is 100%. When you get into $1+ million range, it's 99%. $2+ million price points is still 97% of list price when we're selling our homes. So it's if there's any doubt, you just show them the stats in Atlanta, in this market. I'd love to know the answer from everybody else on that.
2021 is the year of opportunity. As we've been saying on my team, sell like it's 2009 again. I don't know if you're in an urban market, a resort market, or a rural market. People are buying real estate like they've never bought before. How fortunate are we? We get them on the way up. We get these markets on the way down. There's movement like never before. We're seeing volume sales in 2020. New York and urban areas such as Greg's are on a rebound. We're seeing top-end luxury sales again. We had 24 sales contract signed last week in New York, over $10 million. I mean, normally we have more than in the old market, but it is a true indicator that we're moving product, expensive product again. People have, and I'll repeat what I said before, never have so many people valued owning a home more than in 2020. So those that didn't capture a new one are definitely getting one in 2021.
Nikki, you are particularly good with investors. Tell us a little bit about your strategy about selling investors real estate in a market like this.
Okay, that kept us alive. In second week of March, when we started our team meetings on Zoom, we're up to 24 people now. We really had to keep everybody busy. So we knew our market was frozen. We knew there wasn't a buyer to be had for a while. So we divided up. We took 6 people on the team to be generators, going out, talking directly in real time to new development in New York. Sponsors, owners, banks, who's hurting, who's going to be provide the most opportunity, who's going to be the most negotiable. We took another 6 people and they worked and targeted wealth advisors and other clients that we have around the world, conveying to them the real-time information that we were learning about the extremely valuable product in Manhattan that was going deeply discounted. We were finding investors where they didn't know they were going to be, and we called it an buyer's opportunity market, and absolutely was. In new development, particularly, this was the problem with New York at the time. 2018 found an abundance of inventory because of all the new development. I mean, they were building these buildings on every corner, every mid-block, every vacant lot they could find, rising up to 50, 100 floors. We knew that we were going to have a problem filling them. But the moment we started offering deep discounts, and we're talking for bulk sales, 30, 35, 40, we even did one bulk sale for 50% off. This is music to the ears of investors that understand the rhythm of market trends. So our buyers right now are not entry level, are absolutely opportunists. They're in New York, some of them for the first time, but they understand one important factor. It's buy to hold. We're going to wait to tell them when they can exit. We will absolutely make certain that they exit with a profit margin. We'll absolutely make certain that we are their real estate advisors for life because of this opportunity.
Very good. Thank you, Nikki. Greg, you were about to say something.
No, I don't know if Nikki knows this story, but during the depth of COVID, when things were really bad, she did a podcast and I saw it on social media and I decided, well, I'm going out for a gratitude walk. I'm just going to listen to this podcast. Nikki told everybody her pivot. Here we were in April. This was her pivot. Go to your clients in 2-bedroom apartments and tell them that the market is about to get really bad. So this is their moment to sell their 2-bedroom apartment at a loss, but they're going to buy a 5-bedroom apartment at an opportunity that they're going to really gain more equity than holding on to their small 2-bedroom apartment. And that has been the pivot that we've been working with, in San Francisco. Volatility creates opportunity. And there is opportunity if you find the right buyers and the right sellers. I remember in 2009 when we were just heading into the recession, I'd only been in the business for 3 to 4 years. Kathy Cordy, our then CEO, came to San Francisco and she said, times are tough. Your job as realtors is to find out who the real sellers and who the real buyers are and not to waste your time on anybody else. And that has always stayed with me in good times and in bad. There will always be opportunities. So Nikki, thank you for helping me view the path forward.
Great.
The line we gave our people that did not know they were in the market. Remember, I said 6 were handling new development, 6 were working with wealth advisors. The other group were working on people that didn't know they were in the market. These young families, these young couples, these young singles in particular. And they led with this line, sell low, but buy lower. So the spread between what they may be losing or what they were losing in a potential profit and what they were selling and what they're making up for in the eventual exit larger unit is enormous. These buyers, and we did a lot of deals that way, are profoundly grateful to us calling them, telling them about the opportunity and making certain that they follow through.
Robbie, as we think about 2021, Our friend Jessica Canning in Pebble Beach, I think, says it best. The only thing harder to predict than the end of 2020 is 2021. I think 2021 is going to be hard. It's going to be tough. It's going to continue to test all of us. Things are not going to end as quickly as we might seem, and it's still going to be a very tough year, but we're all gritty and we're ready for it. We just don't want to mischaracterize how tough next year is going to be.
I would add too, Robbie, I think it was Steve Jobs that says, tough times don't last, but tough people do. And so it doesn't matter what happens. We're tough people. We're going to innovate. We're going to improve, and we're going to survive, and we're going to thrive. And I would just say I had 2 rules for 2020. When the pandemic hit, I got on a Zoom with, all the companies, and I said, let's live by 2 rules. And I think these 2 rules will serve us well in 2021. Number 1 is don't get emotional. Try not to get emotional. This is not an emotional exercise. Clients get emotional. They need us to be stable and calm and collected. And it's really easy in these volatile times, especially during a global pandemic, to get emotional and to let your emotions get the best of you. Don't let that happen. Number 2, don't predict the future. None of us know what's going to happen. None of us knew what was going to happen in 2020, and none of us know what's going to happen in 2021. Our job as real estate professionals is to give people the data in real time, to live in the present, and to let them draw their own conclusions about the future. If we start predicting the future and we start thinking we're soothsayers, we're going to find ourselves in a tough situation where we're going to be wrong and we're going to lose a lot of credibility. So don't get emotional, rule number 1. And number 2, don't try to predict the future. Just tell people where we are right now, offer them scenarios of what might happen, but don't endorse one or the other. Just say, hey, you never know. I mean, Greg, you and I had this conversation earlier in the year. People said, well, who's going to win the election? And I used to tell people, I don't know. And I didn't know, right? And people that got in that game and were predicting the outcome and all that, you're alienating people, and you just don't know. Real estate agents love to talk about the future as if they know, but the truth is we don't. The only thing we know is the past, and we know the present, but we have no idea what's going to happen, and we shouldn't be in the business of trying to predict it. We should just give people the information and allow them to make their own decisions. So those 2 rules in 2021, I will continue to live by.
That's good. All right. Does that, of our panelists, do you have one last thing you want to tell the Briggs Freeman agents and other friends that are on this call?
Well, if you have referrals for Utah or you come to Park City, if you don't check in with the dawn of Utah, you're going to lose your Utah privileges. So just text me. I'll put my little number up here in my name. You don't have to hang out with me. You just have to text me and say you were here. Maybe we get a picture in front of one of my offices or whatever, but let's check in with each other. Let's network, right? I love what Nikki said. It's all about relationships. She's learned better than anyone the referrals. So come out to Utah if you make it out here, or any of our companies. Be certain to let me know, and I'm going to come see all of you. I'm not scared to travel. So if anybody wants to hang out, you just let me know. I'm there.
Well, great. Thank you, Thomas.
Yep.
I'd like to leave you with something, and it's basically that I'm really jealous. I've been jealous for a darn long time, since 2008 when I met Robbie Briggs. I'd like an owner, a manager, a leader, the caliber of Robbie Briggs. There are a lot of them in our network, and I think I've met almost all of them, but no one absolutely comes close to the leadership skills that you have, the support you give not only your family, but those of us around the world. Robbie, I'm indebted to you forever. You have gotten me through a couple of tough times. I'm here for you when you need me.
Thank you so much. Love you.
I'd like to add, if I could, just to remind everybody that, this has been an unprecedented crisis, but it's taken away many of the comforts and material things that we've become so used to, like being physically, with our friends. But it also has really brought front and center the importance of family, including work family, and our relationships. And it's really made us so much closer during this time. It's also made us and our clients recognize the value of their home. So this has indeed been a whirlwind. So my wish to everybody moving forward is that you remember the importance of the brand, the relationship that you have with everyone in it or are going to make with it next year, and that next year be prosperous, safe, and healthy for you and your family, from my team in San Francisco to yours.
Great.
And just want to say, Robbie, again, I love what Nikki said. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for how great you are. Everybody in Dallas, I've engaged with so many agents in Dallas. So thank you, everybody, for all of your support and reaching out. And please keep it up. Please let me know anything I can do for you. And last but not least, Merry Christmas to everybody. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you all so very much. This has been great. And that's why I'm so proud of our network. The brand is so important, but the network is even more important, because it's back to what Nikki said in the beginning. It's all about relationships, and people can't believe that I know you. I know you. And when somebody says, I need an agent in Atlanta, I know somebody to call. And it isn't just, you know, oh, I looked in a book and there's this one agent, looks like she's got 3 listings. That's who you should call. Oh no, I know you people, and I want to send you business, and I want our people to be doing business with you, because I know that each one of you takes such good care of your clients. Thank you again for being part of our meeting today. I turn it back over to Russ.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Yes, I want to reiterate Robbie's comments. Thank you all so much.